What is good, guys? Welcome to my channel. My name is Sircharlesthepoet, and this is Life of a Poet. So, today I have brought to you a poem. I have brought a poem to you. This is a poem that I'm gonna tell you some. I'll read the poem first, and then I will give you some explanation behind it, some background, some things I like about it. Yeah, but I posted this poem on my blog 2 weeks ago. A week ago, last week I believe, and then somebody commented on it and said they would love to see a live reading of this poem. This is not much of a live reading, but something close, huh? Cool. So let's get right to it. Get to the poem, and then we'll talk about it. All right. All right. Let's do this. There's a feather on the wall. But really, we all know it's not just a feather. There's a peacock on the wall that folds itself into a single elegant feather on the wind. Caught you looking. Catch a gaze that puts a busy, palpating city in slow motion. That's the only way the peacock can travel through, as a feather, floating on the wind as it folds and folds. The peacock belongs to a deity, a house pet, laying at the master's leg, roaming the house of a god, dwelling in magic, incapable to mortality. But there's a feather on the wall, mesmerizing to us all. Every time one looks at that canvas, they travel. A random feather and elegance floating through the air, a portal to the immortal. All right, guys, that's the poem. So that is the poem. The poem is called "As You Look, Imagine." So let's talk about this poem, shall we? Let's start with background. What inspired this poem? So at sometime last year. So I stay in touch with some of my friends from high school, and and at some point last year, one of them she was in a one or two classes below me back in high school. She's an artist. She's a full blown, I mean, as in, like, she's a full blown artist. Like, she's like multi-disciplinary, different skills, poetry, painting. Like, these are the only two that I can think of right now. I don't want to, like, give her skills that she doesn't have. I'm sure she can sing, act, whatever. But she had a show last year. She had a show where she had the opportunity to just put up her art in a gallery, and people can pass by and just look at it, view it, and she has some notebooks as well. And in the notebook, people can write whatever note they want in the notebook for her. So I went to the show to support her, and at the show, there was this particular painting. It looked like a feather. Everybody, that was everybody's favorite painting in the gallery. And granted, there were a lot of nice, meaningful, interesting paintings, but this was the one that caught a lot of people's attention. To me, it looked like a peacock's feather, and like that idea being in my head, I I felt inspired by the painting. If the painting looked like a peacock's feather, I thought there was more to it. So I grabbed one of the notebooks that she gave us to put notes in, and I started writing. Yeah, and that's where this poem came from. Turn my trusty iPad. So let's dive deeper into this poem. Yeah, let's do it. And by the title, as you can see, as you look, imagine. The when you're reading the poem, you can see how the poem is about somebody who is looking at something. That's something being a painting, and as they look at the painting causes them to start daydreaming, to just start imagining stuff. So that's where the title comes from. So let's narrow in some lines in there that really caught my attention. So that line caught you looking. That's a that's a line I really liked. It's back to it refers back to I was playing when I was a kid. When you know when you were a kid in middle school, somebody like cracks a joke and you turn your head to look and they're like, aha, caught you looking. So that's what that was about. But the next line is catch a gaze, then puts a busy, palpating city in slow motion. I love that line. I love that line so much. Because like in the deepness of all right, so this is so let's start this. So and the deepness of my heart is my love for cities, for like traffic. I don't love traffic, but I love hearing this. I love like city being in motion. And when writing and when in reading that line, what I think of, what the first thing that comes to mind is in the song La Negra Tiene Tumbao, and that's the song by Celia Cruz. There's a scene where the girl walks across the street, right? And traffic just stops dead. Just like stops. And everybody just turned their head looking. Oh my god. So so that's what I imagine when I write this line. Then puts a catch a gaze, then puts a busy, palpitating city in slow motion. It's like that girl walks across the street in the city, just like, like, whoa. So that's what I imagine. Yeah. So that's to implicate how the feather is so magical, so powerful, divine that it just a whole like city in motion. It freezes it just because it's like on the wind flowing. How powerful that is, how elegant it is. And then I like the reference of it folds. The it folds. I was actually not gonna put. I was gonna put it folds and twist and turn, but what because what I with folding, I'm talking about how the peacock folds into one feather. You can imagine it folding into one feather. But I also want to like if you imagine a feather like flowing by the wind. It's like spinning, twisting, whatever. So folding also refers to spinning and twisting, whatever. But I feel like the fold like was more broad and more meaningful than just saying it folds and twists and turns. So yeah, and the last thing that let's see, that's another thing I want to bring attention to: dwelling in magic and capable into mortality. That's just saying that the magic of the feather of the god is a god's magic. It's a god's power. So human minds can't even like imagine, think of that. A concept that I often think about is the concept of a bird, right? A bird flying. Like, let's say you cut a bird's wings off, but then you you throw it off a building. What's the bird gonna do? The bird doesn't have it knows it doesn't have wings, but it's in its soul to bat its wings. So it's still gonna try to bat its wings and fly because that's what it knows to do. An example that I often give is a rooster, for example. A rooster cannot fly, but it's a bird. In its soul, it knows it can fly. Like it's a signature, and so that it's supposed to fly. So when you run behind a rooster, what does it do? It like bat its wings and try to fly because it's supposed to fly. That's what it tells itself. So yeah. So when I say dwelling in magic incapable to mortality, is that people who are like mortals, beings that are mortals, can't even their like brain existence is so limited they can't even imagine they can't even imagine that type of magic. So that's like it's a powerful thing. It's like it's it makes me think of this other quote that a professor in college once told me. He said that he said, "How can we change the world if we use if we are using the same brains that put the world in the chaos that it is right now?" That quote had me shook. Shit, one of my best professors in college, in sociology 101, because it's like that's all like, the brain is doing what it's supposed to do, but that ends up being chaos. So how can we like revert that? A lot of philosophical stuff, huh? Another thing I want to bring attention to in the poem is it's just the last line, you know, the last line. I love the last line. I love how the last line is a random. So that last stanza is, but there's a feather on the wall, mesmerizing to us all. Every time one looks at that canvas, they travel. A random feather, an elegance, floating through the air, a portal to the immortal. I love that line because it 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 brings you back to the beginning of the poem, to this idea of the just the poem starts out with a feather floating. So like there's a feather in the wall and it's floating. I love that it kind of brings you back to the beginning of the poem. So the poem is a loop that keeps on going, that keeps on going, that keeps on going. And so yeah, I really love that. And the other thing that I really like about that last line is that at the end of the poem, you become the peacock in the feather in the feather. You become the peacock in the deity's dwelling. So that painting pulls you in. That painting is so powerful; it pulls you in and makes you somebody in the deity's dwelling, in the god's dwelling. So that's a very powerful like thing in this poem. That can have a lot of meaning. That can be a conversation that never ends. But yeah, so I really love that. I really like that part of the poem. Yeah, that is all about the poems. Thank you guys for sticking through and hearing the explanations and seeing reading the poem. The link to read the poem, the link is gonna be in the description. So first link in the description, just check it out and read the poem. And yeah, thank you for sticking through with me. I'll see you guys next time. All right, cool. Ciao. Have a good day. Ciao.